So here is another example of another problem from our lesson 3.5 web assignment that was a little bit extra tricky that applies to a geometry setting. So it says, suppose that the length of a rectangle. Well, I'm going to stop right there and I'm going to draw myself a rectangle because, again, I'm so visual. Not true to scale by any means. We've got length and width. Suppose the length of the rectangle is 1 2/3 times as long as the width. Okay, so if this is my width, this is 1 2/3 times my width. Now, I don't like to multiply by mixed numbers, so 1 2/3 is the same as 5/3. Let me explain how I got that. You take the denominator, multiply by the number out in front, and add the numerator, and then write that over the original denominator. So we get 5/3. So I'm going to write that as 5/3 W, some little arithmetic lesson there. It says the area is 60 square centimeters. Find the length and width. Well, the area of a rectangle is length times width. Let's plug in everything we know. Area is 60. Length is 5/3 W. And width is W. So we end up with 5/3 W squared on the right-hand side. So now we want to solve for W squared. So when you're solving for a variable within an equation, you undo the operations in the reverse order of please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Someone at Domino's made excellent pizza. Well, the W is being squared. That's exponents. That's going to be undone last. But there's multiplication. Someone at Domino's made excellent pizza. You undo multiplication by dividing, but dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. And that makes 3/3 cancel and 5/5 cancel, and we have just W squared, on the right-hand side. Now be careful with this one over here on the left-hand side. Any whole number can be written as a fraction over 1. So this, if you take top times top and bottom times bottom, you'd get 180/5, and 180/5 is equal to 36. So the width squared is equal to 36, because 36 times 5 is equal to 180. Now, to undo the squaring, we know we square root. Every positive number has 2 square roots, but only one of them is logical here, because a negative side, or a rectangle cannot have a negative side length. So we only take the positive square root, and we find that the width would be equal to 6 centimeters. That means the length is 5/3 times 6. And remember, that's over 1 because it's a whole number. That's 30/3, which is 10 centimeters. And you can test it out. Length times width, 6 times 10 is 60. That works. And then see if when you multiply 5/3 times your width, 6, you do in fact get 10. And we did. So our dimensions are width of 6 and length of 10 centimeters. Let me know if you have any questions.